From the moment you touch down, you'll sense it. South Africa is bursting with life and laughter, sights and sounds, tastes and textures. Join us in a toast to this amazing adventure. The Big Five are magnificent and up-close encounters are electrifying, but the destination offers so much more than safaris. Gorgeous landscapes to zip through or view from above, underwater marvels, spectacular beaches, breathtaking flights, cultural immersions with native music and dancing, and white-knuckle adventures on land, water, and in the air. From bungee jumping to boat racing to surfing the waves and horseback riding in the sand to rappelling the rocks and showering in waterfalls to dune boarding and swimming with sharks, South Africa has it all. Aside from the thrills, this top luxury destination has world-class wines, exquisite accommodations, and delectable cuisine. This is Michael Gelber, CEO IWorld of Travel, inviting you to experience another memories beyond destination. IWorld of Travel. Expect more. Do more. All right, I think we're ready to get started. So we are going to welcome everybody to our IWorld of Travel and our webinar featuring Peter John Mitrovic from focusing on South Africa, who's our partner in South Africa and a dear friend. So we want to make sure that everybody knows that who we work with aren't just business partners, but they're friends first, and then we grow business together. So welcome. We appreciate you joining us. These are really unprecedented times, and we're trying to make the best of it. We've been working quite hard in the background, reaching out to our partners, trying to understand what's going on globally in terms of borders and opening up and putting programs together so that we are ready, as we call it, the day after. If you have any questions as we go through the presentation, please post them in the Q&A, and then we'll go ahead and address those at the end of the presentation. My name is Michael Gelber. I am the CEO and chairman of the board for IWorld of Travel. There you go. And with no further ado, let me introduce you to Peter John Mitrovic, who's our, first of all, a beloved friend, first and foremost, and secondly, our partner in South Africa, who will be sharing his screen. And now, take it away, Peter John.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's just gone 7:15 in South Africa, and we are allowed to have wine already. So, so for the most of you, please don't be jealous. Courtesy of our COVID-19 lockdown, we have no access to any liquor stores, so we are wine deprived temporarily. So as much as you look forward to come and tasting our wine, I can promise you that we do too as South Africans. So firstly and most importantly, I just want to say thank you very much to Michael and the IWorld Travel team for making us part of this call, and to really share something that is not just a country, it's a passion of mine. It's as long as I've been around, been the country of my heart and my soil, and something that I speak of with great fondness and passion when I have the opportunity to do so. Zoom has certainly brought a different kind of world to us all, to have to look at a computer screen and speak to an audience that you hope that the message carries as well as the intent does. Before I start the presentation, maybe just a few things to just pause on. Well, I think we are all obviously very aware of the current COVID-19 situation affecting all of the world, and pretty much in South Africa, none the different, but certainly as anywhere else, tourism heavily affected. And we realize that if we plan to make our way back into the world audience of getting travelers to come back to South Africa, we need to be COVID ready. So I did ask Michael if I could just pause and say that as we speak now, our government, together with our local provincial tourism structures and trade, are working diligently on putting together a COVID-19 service manual that will go out to our whole tourism industry and services industry here, on to ensure that at the time moving forward that our borders open up, that South Africa is guest ready to ensure not only just satisfaction, but health, safety, and concern for any person that does come through our borders. I think it's fair to say that we all have very different ranging opinions currently about the situation, but it's important for us as a country to know that once you pass off the aircraft into the country itself, that from our airports, the vehicles we use, the behavior of our guides on the ground in South Africa, the hotels, how they will present the food services and other services, right through to the restaurants and the shopping experiences that you can have in South Africa. All of those services are getting the necessary attention. Another thing that I also want to pause on, and that is something that we're working closely with IWorld of Travel, is to ensure that, that there is a confidence in destination from a healthcare perspective. I think we've all become very aware that as the world's borders started closing down on its visiting guests, quite a few travelers worldwide got caught up behind borders where they would have loved not to be caught up behind. I can fortunately say that from as a partner in South Africa, we have had no guests that had to, unfortunately, well, fortunately, stay behind and get them all safe back home. So I think a trusted partner on the ground is an essential component to this industry which we love so much. But more important to that is also to understand that South Africa has got an impeccable healthcare system internally as a country. Certainly it's a paid healthcare system, but when a guest traveling to the destination like South Africa has taken adequate travel insurance, that paid medical care is very accessible and incredibly efficient. That allows for good confidence when considering traveling to Southern Africa as a destination. So without any further delay, let me start my presentation and welcome you to South Africa, a country of 9 provinces. And so I just want to get my presentation kicking. There we go. And so for anybody that's not been to South Africa, just to make sure that we're all clear, Africa is not South Africa. South Africa is actually, looking at the map in front of you, is everything to the south of the line that I will draw very, very clearly on the screen. It's everything south of what I'm looking to walk you through right now. And your first access point coming into South Africa is flying into Johannesburg OR Tambo International Airport, which is right over there. Accessibility into South Africa, well, until we closed down for COVID, was easily accessed by Delta Airlines through Atlanta. We also had access through South African Airways, which I'm sure some of you in the travel community might already know is going through some consideration if they will carry on with the airline post-COVID or if a new airline will be born. And then as recent as December of 2019, United Airlines started flying into South Africa out of Newark as well. Over and above that, there are obviously airlines that service South Africa out of Europe, with quite a selection from KLM all the way through to Emirates and Etihad out of the Middle East. Johannesburg OR Tambo International Airport is recognized as one of the best airlines or airports in Africa, and none the different for us. Our emphasis as a destination management partner on the ground here is that the guest experience starts on arrival. And to ensure that that arrival is made perfect, for me, it's all about the quality and the personality of the guest experience on arrival. So we offer a meet and greet service right off from the aircraft door. That meet and greet person takes you through the necessary passport control. Unfortunately, they can't influence the immigration officers, but if there is any paperwork concerns, then they are available to assist with any processes that are required to ensure a smooth transition into South Africa. Americans do not need a visa to come into South Africa, but we do need your passport to at least be older than 3 months and have at least 3 open pages within the passport to enter South Africa. There's also traveling with children, and until November of last year, travelers to South Africa had to have an unabridged birth certificate for children under the age of 18 traveling with their parents. That rule has fortunately been abolished by our Department of Foreign Affairs, and so therefore any foreign traveler into South Africa traveling with children does not need to travel with an unabridged certificate anymore. However, they need to qualify with a valid passport. The vehicles that we use across the country are dependent on the couple or the family that we're having to take around. So either a two-seater family luxury car right through to a minivan, which takes up to 10 seats. Valentine in the screen is one of our meet and greet staff in Johannesburg, so you'll more than likely have some of your guests run into them if they do make the way to South Africa. So what I've done for tonight's presentation is to give you a bit of a sense of destination, a little bit of the accommodation, and tell a few stories as we make our way through beautiful South Africa. So Johannesburg, South Africa is a country of 60 million people. Johannesburg is not the capital city of South Africa, but it is the business hub of South Africa. And it is for a city, it is regarded as the city with the largest man-made forest. Johannesburg has got the most planted trees per square kilometer of any other country in the world. And coming into the city, jacaranda trees, which is this beautiful purple mass on the right-hand side, is quite a picturesque sight to see, especially when you travel to Johannesburg during the months of October. The city is not shy of any quality hotels. One of our favorite hotels in the area to use is the Fairlawns Boutique Hotel. It has been in the Oppenheimer family, which is one of the wealthiest families in South Africa, for many, many years, until they later of years sold it on to its current owners, which have converted it into a beautiful 48-bedroom boutique hotel. We also have more recognized international brands, such as the Four Seasons Group, who've got the beautiful Westcliff Four Seasons Hotel perched on the outskirts of Johannesburg City. So certainly no shortage of incredible accommodation to consider when visiting Johannesburg. Now, from a city perspective, we find that most of our customers traveling would spend a maximum of 2 nights in Johannesburg, a night of arrival to adjust, and then a second day to explore the sights and scenery of Johannesburg. And Johannesburg is most famous for 3 things. Number one, the history behind Nelson Mandela, walking his life story, and then going into Soweto Township, where he lived until he was arrested, and then also talking through the whole apartheid period in South Africa. That has got a lot of relevance in Johannesburg. Other to that is obviously the gold mine industry, and then over and above that, obviously just aesthetically, just from a city point of view, to go and explore. But I'll start with the first slide, and this would be one of the excursions that one would make during a day in Johannesburg, starting early morning, and we travel to Liddy's Lee Farm, which is the original farm where Nelson Mandela was arrested, together with today our President Cyril Ramaphosa and others. We will start the story here by introducing you to Nicholas Volpe. His father was the founder of Liddy's Lee Farm and was also arrested at the same time as Nelson Mandela. I will add at this point in time in our conversation as well, the experiences that we tailor with IWorld of Travel are customized for every single customer in a very different way. We use our intellectual property on the destination to weave them into the perfect experience for the particular client that we are bringing into the destination, to ensure that there is a uniqueness that's woven into that particular person or particular family's journey, which allows for that memories beyond expectation to be created. This program will run into starting in Johannesburg at Liddy's Lee Farm. We will continue the day going to Mandela's house, which is in the bottom right-hand corner of the slide. From there, I'll move up to the Apartheid Museum that carries a lot of strong messaging on the past history of South Africa, and complete the experience with lunch at Chez Alina, which is right here on the top right-hand side of the screen, with a good amount of South African food flair and some good entertainment by some of the local residents. That just adds a bit of local flavor. Soweto Township, which is the southwestern townships of Johannesburg, is no shortage of just the history, but there's also a bit of adventure. So those two towers that you saw earlier, if you're very keen for a bit of adventure, there is obviously no shortage of jumping off those towers. Certainly not made for my faint heart, but we welcome the adventurous amongst you to certainly come and try that out. Johannesburg's also a city for great shopping. It's got incredible innovators and creative people. And one of the things that have come with our new democracy in South Africa is a revival of clothing makers, chocolatiers, and just generally wonderful, inspirational experiences. One of these that we do support is 44 Stanley in Johannesburg. And it's a beautiful little precinct with little restaurants and all these different innovators, designers, and food shops that just allows for a nice way to finish off your afternoon of touring, maybe stay for dinner, or the alternative is to swing past here the morning before departure to just have a little bit of a stop after breakfast before making your way to the airport. Not far from Johannesburg is our capital city, and this is called Pretoria. And I'll keep it very short. Pretoria more recognized for the fact that it's got our union buildings in there, and then obviously very well known for the beautiful jacaranda trees that grow there during the month of October, being in full bloom. So after a 2-night stay in Johannesburg, we then transitioned from Johannesburg down to Cape Town. Once again, from an airline perspective, there are ample domestic airlines until, as far as we know, at this point in time, and they have got international alliances with IWorld, with Star Alliance, and so forth. So from Johannesburg City to Johannesburg OR Tambo International Airport, it is about a 2-hour flight that takes you down into the heart of Cape Town. And once you arrive in the city of Cape Town, it is a 15 to 20-minute airport transfer from the airport into the city, with once again a choice of, depending on the client, meet and greet at the aircraft door, and obviously luxury transport or minivan into the city. Now, there is a lot to share about Cape Town as a city, from a scenic point of view, from a food point of view, from a shopping point of view, accommodation. So I've had to, unfortunately, limit myself, but I think the first slide already just speaks for itself. Your immediate welcome to Cape Town is, hopefully, if it's not clouded up, is Table Mountain, which lends for a beautiful welcome into what we call the mother city. There is no shortage of really, really bespoke accommodation. And I'll kick off right from the get-go with the Silo Hotel, which is 32 bedrooms, but 36 rooms due to a few double suites that they have. Really an architectural and design icon in Cape Town. It's only now in its 3rd year, and definitely with consideration, particularly for couples, for honeymoon couples, for anniversaries. I wouldn't regard it as the most kid-friendly hotel in Cape Town, but certainly packs a punch from making a first impression. Not far from there is the Cape Grace Hotel, and it certainly, the emphasis lies in the word grace. It is a Cape Town local charming hotel with spectacular with a spectacular interior, really well located within walking distance from Cape Town's Victoria and Alfred waterfront, which offers some great shopping opportunities, restaurants, and so forth. And then if you move rather into the city, you then find, under the Belmont Hotel Group, you find the the Belmont Mount Nelson. Once again, a charming old yesteryear hotel with beautiful modern finishes within its interior, and very well recognized in Cape Town amongst Cape Townians in the right-hand corner at the bottom for its afternoon teas served every day. One and Only also has a footprint in Cape Town. It's got a beautiful 135 bedroom hotel in the heart of Cape Town's Victoria and Alfred waterfront. So as far as hotel choices are concerned, there is certainly no limit for couples or families. And these are only but a few that I've brought to the table. But obviously the city has got more than just hotels. It's also got wonderful experiences. And for the art lovers out there, there is the Zeitz Mocha Museum that offers monthly change of exhibitions, but not only just offers an artistic experience, but also has a lovely restaurant tucked away inside the building, and lends itself sometimes for small little groups or private cocktail events. Makes a perfect setting. Obviously, all at a small fee. Not far from here is the Robben Island Clock Tower building. And Robben Island is one of those excursions which really speaks hard to the truth and past of South Africa. It's where Nelson Mandela had spent 23 years of political imprisonment. So the journey here is very heartfelt. It evokes a lot of emotion. When you get to the island, there is a private guide by choice of ourselves and IWorld to take you through the island into the cell of Nelson Mandela and just general scenery and sights to be seen. The tour itself takes about 3.5 hours, half an hour out to the island, another 2.5 hours on the island, and a half an hour back by boat. That leaves you then returning back to the Victoria and Alfred waterfront in Cape Town. What we also really try and do is to break away from the classic experiences that Cape Town would have had, and those would be a standard city tour of Cape Town, a drive around the peninsula, and a visit into the winelands. There is a lot of incredible little experiences hidden away in Cape Town. One of those is Truth Coffee, which in 2017 by the New York Times was recognized as one of the best coffee shops or coffee experiences in the world. So here we will bring the guests in, we'll sit them down, have a coffee made for them, but also do a coffee tasting experience, time permitting. Another icon for Cape Town is obviously Table Mountain. Table Mountain is also one of those experiences that you can experience either as a tourist by getting in the cable car on the bottom right and making your way up the mountain. But there are also alternatives that we offer by doing a hike up the mountain with a private botanical guide, or for more mindful travelers, early morning, taking the cable car up Table Mountain and having a yoga workout session with some spectacular views. Just something to note as well, that it is very weather pending. So as lovely as some of these pictures look and inviting as they might be, you want to try and avoid Cape Town late December, early January, purely because that's when we find our wind at its strongest. Other to that, it's the 365 days less that few dates destination to visit. We also look at the locals and the food and the culture, besides the fact that we do have some incredible fine dining establishments. We do home-hosted cooking experiences. One of those is Auntie Shamila Muadeen. She is Shanaz in our team's aunt. And we go into Shamila's house in the Boerkaap, where she then will teach either a family or a couple or a small little group on how to make some of the Boerkaap delicacies of food. This is something we've actually recently incorporated in an IWorld agent visit to South Africa, and as I'm sure Zahafa, that's on the call with us as well, will confess, was really well received. But if you look carefully, she's even had a few celebrities of recent. She's had Meghan and Harry visit her as well at home and do a little bit of her Shamila magic. And so certainly something that most people will come into the city and not even think of doing, not knowing that it's there. We also incorporate this as part of a tour with the Malay culture in mind, and we also incorporate a visit to the local spice shop called Atlas Spice Company. And so it lends itself to an experience on its own for a morning, afternoon, or even part of a late afternoon into a dinner experience in Cape Town. But one of the iconic routes that we do find is visiting the Cape Peninsula. That is a full day experience for most. Yes, you can circumnavigate the peninsula by a helicopter as well. It is an option certainly to do, but it is at its best when you're in a car and you've got your camera nearby and you're making an easy drive along. So I have incorporated a map to just give you a bit of an idea of what this journey looks like. We start in Cape Town, and we make our way all the way down towards Maiden's Cove, which is where I'm right there. Maiden's Cove is this beautiful bottom right-hand corner spectacular view that you get from there. From there on, we continue and we make our way over to Hout Bay and over Chapman's Peak. So Chapman's Peak Drive is this picture on the left-hand side. It really is just a spectacular drive to have. That takes us past Noordhoek and Kommetjie, which you'll see my arrow moving now, which is this picture on the right-hand side with the beautiful Noordhoek Beach, which is also very much liked for horse riding experiences. And then from there on, we make our way all the way down past to the Cape Point Nature Reserve, where we then eventually end up down at Cape Point, right here at the bottom. And as I will progress into the slides, the afternoon then continues, making our way to Boulders Beach Penguins, here in Simonstown. We stop for some lunch in Kalk Bay, which is over here, with some spectacular views. And then in the afternoon, you've got the choice of either stopping at Kirstenbosch Botanical Gardens, around here, and then from there on, navigating your way back into Cape Town City. So how that looks when you look at it from a picturesque point of view, here is Cape Point. It is just one of those really spectacular, breathtaking sights to be seen. There is also, just before the gates to Cape Point, there is the Cape Point Ostrich Farm. So certainly a bit of fun to be included for families with children. And when you arrive at Cape Point itself, there is the funicular that takes you to the top of the point, which then allows you to visit the lighthouse right on top and enjoy that spectacular view from the lighthouse downwards towards Cape Point. But Cape Point isn't not just about fauna and flora, flowers. It also has some wildlife in it, and it also has had IWorld of travel in it as well. And we certainly would love seeing yourself and some of your guests in a very similar picture in time. From Cape Point, we make our way to Boulders Beach. I've purposely added in some images here to just continue the story. Boulders Beach is very well known for its African penguin colony that you can view land-based. We obviously know a few little secrets that not everybody always entertains, and that actually next to the tourist beach, which is the picture on the right-hand corner, there is also Boulders Beach, which you can take your towel and your children and go and spend the day on the beach. And the little penguins actually come onto the beach and meander amongst the guests on the beach. So that lends itself for quite a bit of fun, but of course you need to have time to do that. For the more adventurous, we also do kayaking amongst the penguins. It is also very weather dependent, depending on the sea swells, on the sea itself. But in more stormy conditions, obviously not something we're going to entertain, but really is fun with families that are able to swim and are willing to canoe, to paddle amongst the penguins. Just a fun experience to do. Boulders Beach is based in Simonstown, which is our naval city, our only naval town in South Africa. And I thought I'd just add this little slide just to tell the story of Just Nuisance. He was owned by one of the sailors within Simonstown, and eventually would take the train with them into Cape Town City, and got recognized that he would not let one of the sailors down. If any of them became a little bit more than jovial, Just Nuisance would ensure that those sailors would make it back into the train and make it safe back to their barracks as they should. So this on the right is the picture of Just Nuisance and his owner. And today a little statue has been erected on behalf of Just Nuisance in memory for his great deeds that he had done all those many years ago. After a visit to Simonstown, we continued to Kalk Bay Harbour, which once again provides a beautiful setting for a lovely lunch experience. I will say again, myself, I'm a huge food lover, and what I do believe is that food, music, culture, and scenery makes a combination for the perfect destination experience. And certainly food does not need to always be fine dining. It just needs to be really good food. And we eat with our eyes. So if the food looks good and the scenery even better, then it's the perfect setting for the perfect meal. From Kalk Bay, we continue, and we can finish our day by going into Kirstenbosch Botanical Gardens. Kirstenbosch is is the biggest of botanical gardens in the Southern Hemisphere, and really lends itself an afternoon visit, a morning visit, with little consider some nice summer concerts that happens in the gardens at Kirstenbosch. And then I will finish off Cape Town by saying that yes, we have got no shortage of great restaurants. I think within the world's top 50 restaurants, Cape Town has 2. Out of the top 20 restaurants in the country, one of my favorites is this very restaurant that is called Salsify. This was the old hunting lodge for Lord Charles Somerset, one of the British governors that lived in the Cape in the very early 1800s. So that concludes Cape Town, and we are now going to make our way into the winelands. So from Cape Town, there are 2 roads that lead the way into the winelands. The one is the road, it's called the N1. That is the north-south link from Cape Town all the way up to Johannesburg. And the other road to take is the N2. That is the east-west link between Cape Town all the way to the east coast of the country. And we will start our journey by going into our winelands area. And so our winelands area is we've got 9 wine regions, but what we most traverse in South Africa or in the Cape is number 1, Stellenbosch. The second is Paarl up here in the north. There is Somerset West, where I'm speaking to you from right now. And the last but not least is Franschhoek. And all 4 these wine areas are beautifully and easily connected. 45 minutes from Cape Town to Somerset West. From here, it's 15 minutes into Stellenbosch. From Stellenbosch to Franschhoek is another 25 minutes. And from there to Paarl is another 20 minutes. And then from there on back into Cape Town from Paarl is about a 45-minute drive. So without any further delay, this is just an opening clip just showing that obviously South African wines is synonymous with South Africans, and so too the quality of the accommodation within these areas. I've once again, for the sake of time and conversation, this is the Lanzarote Hotel. It is a beautiful old Cape Dutch manor and wine estate that has been refurbished about 3 years ago and lends itself to a spectacular setting for winelands accommodation. This is in the village of Franschhoek. It's called Leeuw Estate, with a beautiful spa, lovely accommodation, and spectacular wines made by Milanau Wines on the west coast of South Africa. And then last but not least, one of my favorites too is Babylon's Touring, an actual on-farm experience where you stay in these small little cottages that you see in the background of the scarecrow here to the right, and with the beautiful spa here in the left-hand corner, and just generally a wonderful, wonderful farm experience. So you don't come to the winelands just for scenery. There is obviously wine too, and we'll start the journey in Somerset West at the beautiful Vergelegen wine estate. Vergelegen means something that lies far away. But for families that come over to South Africa, and there's a couple of young kids, on the bottom here, I've also brought in a slide on the duck parade at Vergenoeg. A lovely start to the day with almost 10,000 ducks that they parade into their vineyards because they are pesticide free, and these ducks help with the pests that do possibly exist within the vineyards. From there, we're on to the beautiful Vergelegen wine estate, a little bit of wine tasting, and then into a next estate for another wine tasting, end up for some lovely lunch somewhere along the way, and back to your hotel. Generally, a wineland stay for us, I would recommend at a minimum 2 nights. So 2 nights in Johannesburg, 3 nights in Cape Town, and 2 nights in the Stellenbosch vineyards, if you have the time to give. I mean, the more time always is the better. So we move on from the winelands area, and if we would be staying at the Lanzarote Hotel, it would have been here in Stellenbosch, and we will now make our way from Stellenbosch. We'll take a journey of just over 2 hours all the way along the N2, and we are making our way all the way down south to Hermanus, and eventually end up here at what's called Grootbos Nature Reserve, a spectacular nature reserve, 2 hours with 2 different lodges, beautifully perched with these spectacular views overlooking Walker Bay, close to the coastal town of Hermanus, providing nature drives morning and afternoon, these beautiful milkwood tree dinners at night, with spectacular accommodation overlooking Walker Bay and the Atlantic Ocean. But it's the reason why we bring Grootbos into this conversation. For the months from late May until early September, it provides incredibly good southern right land-based or boat-based whale watching, but also for the not so faint at heart, the opportunity to go and do great white shark cage diving. So this kind of wraps our journey into Cape Town, its winelands and Grootbos Nature Reserve. And we will now continue making our way from Cape Town. And I am going to talk a little bit about safari. Now, safari in South Africa, I think there's a perception that the Kruger National Park is the only place to do a safari in South Africa itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 2 journeys. One, I'm going to take you into the Kruger National Park. The other, I'm going to take you into Madikwe Game Reserve. Kruger National Park being with malaria and Madikwe being without malaria, and give you just an idea of how little difference there is in the actual safari experience. So from Cape Town, it's a 2-hour flight, gets us, 2.5-hour flight gets us into Skukuza Airport, serviced by South African Airlink. But if those flights directly are not available, you can always fly back into Johannesburg, 2 hours, transition time of about an hour on the ground, and then fly into Skukuza, which is another 60 minutes by flight. Arriving into Skukuza Airport, it is a fairly cute little airport in the middle of absolutely nowhere. And like I said, it's serviced by commercial jet. There's also light aircrafts that can fly you from Johannesburg into Skukuza if you prefer private charter for your guests. And then also from Skukuza Airport, if you don't want to use the game drive opportunity to get you to your lodge, there are these grand caravans at the bottom of the slide, aircraft that can take you into the lodges in the surrounding area. But a safari experience speaks for itself. When it already starts with the level and the quality of the accommodation. And the accommodation, I always say in any of the areas, it's each of them have just got a different personality, but the experience is the animals up close and personal. So this particular slide is on Lion Sands in the Sabi Sands Game Reserve. It's got 4 different camps, one being River Lodge, which we're looking at right now, the others being Ivory and Narina, and they also have this incredible opportunities that during a 2 or 3 night stay, which we generally recommend, that you can also make one of those nights a sleep out under the stars. But a normal program would be arrival into the airport, transfer to your lodge, sit down for lunch. After lunch, your ranger will come and speak to you. There's afternoon tea served, and then you depart on your afternoon game drive. And that is the big reveal. Getting up close and personal with the big 5. There's a separate ranger driving the vehicle and a tracker sitting in front of, on the front seat of the vehicle, looking for animal tracks and tracking down essentially the big 5 animals. And there is nothing to be afraid of as long as you keep to the rules, sit down, take as much as possible photographs as you can, and enjoy the experience. The safari journey can be enhanced by a sundowner stop where the vehicle is dressed with some light snacks and some wine and drinks to your choice, which the lodge will ask you prior your departure from the lodge. But for small groups, families, couples, we can also make it a little bit more special by ending the afternoon drive with a riverside setting to a lovely first day of safari. So after your return to the lodge, there is obviously dinner served, and then the following morning out on game drive, stopping for a bit of coffee en route as well. But once again, it comes down to the animal experience. That is what makes a safari so special and memorable. For children, depending on which of the lodges you go to, and with children generally above the age of 8, you generally have no problem with taking them on the game drive with you. Most lodges, however, would insist if you want to take children younger than the age of 8 that you take the safari vehicle, which takes up to 8 guests. You take the vehicle privately. But for most of the game reserves at 5-star level, they would not take more than 6 guests on a safari vehicle at any given time anyway. So that's just something to note. So the next journey that we're going to take is by taking you back to Cape Town, and instead of going to Kruger National Park, we make our way up to Botswana, into the city of Gaborone, courtesy of Air Botswana, and clear customs there. There's no visa fees for Americans to enter Botswana, but you fly into Botswana, clear the border, and then there's a short transfer that will take you to Madikwe Game Reserve, which is right over here. So the advantage of Madikwe is the fact that there is no malaria. And that certainly is a huge lure for most visitors to South Africa that do know of Madikwe Game Reserve and are brave enough to not listen to what they've been told is better, but actually just come and visit. And the quality of the safari here, its biggest difference is in the vegetation. You find that the Kruger National Park is by far more dense during the months of November, December, January, and February, because that's predominantly the rainy season. And then as it gradually moves into our winter season, starting from April onwards, autumn, and then heavy cold winter, June, July, there's obviously less growth and obviously better game viewing, but a different kind of vegetation. But Madikwe has got a very kind of semi-arid vegetation, and the accommodation, like at Madikwe Safari Lodge, which you're looking at right now, does not need to take a back step at all. But the one unique thing they do bring in this part of the world is the fact that they've got wild dog. which they do not have as much of in Kruger National Park. Much rarely sighted, if at all, in the Kruger Park area. And I also just want to emphasize, it's not just about the big five. There's also the beauty of the antelope in the area. So once again, the safari experience here, none too different to Kruger. It's arrival, it's lunch, afternoon tea, out on safari, stop for sundowner drinks, and return to your lodge for dinner. But just to give you an idea of what these dinner settings do look like, a Boma dinner at Madikwe, or a lodge deck dinner at Madikwe, or just for a couple that feels that they want to do something a little bit more private, something more personal can be set up. So we're going to move on to the last part of the presentation, and that is that all safaris doesn't necessarily require you to reach it by flight. I mean, it obviously, an aircraft makes a big difference, but if you want to, there is the opportunity to road transfer. One of these reserves is the Marakele Game Reserve, where you will find Marataba Safari Lodge. It is a tented safari camp. And once again brings a different kind of vegetation, but once again emphasis on quality of accommodation and a good game experience. Now, I will say this, at times of the year, some of the game reserves, because of the density of the vegetation, it does make it difficult to see the whole big five. So it does not mean if you're going to a lodge and you haven't seen a leopard that there aren't any leopards necessarily. It's purely because of the density of that vegetation. So it's good to, when you're speaking to your IWorld of travel advisor, to just kind of make sure that you don't get yourself into the area where you think you might be disappointed, and they will gladly help you because they are, after all, get the information from us and subsequently pass that on to you, and ensuring that we are building and packaging the best possible journey to your expectation. One thing that I do love about Marataba Game Reserve is the beautiful mountain backdrop lends for spectacular photography. There you can see your tented accommodation beautifully hidden amongst all this vegetation. And they also have this little quirky cruise that they do for small little groups of up to 6, one game vehicle essentially that goes out. And you can just see a little bit of animal life from a different perspective, water-based opposed to all land-based, but also having their own safari vehicles. A nice thing that they also do is the classic, which most of the lodges do offer of late, is a sleep out in a treehouse. They certainly have one of those tree houses that I think is quite spectacular. You've got your private ranger that comes with the treehouse sleep out for the evening, that by your choice in the morning or in that evening can take you out for a safari walk opposed to a safari drive. And but back at the lodge, there is also the opportunity to do a beautiful Boma dinner together with your family, and then the following morning with your family actually go out for a bit of a game walk up close and personal with the young and the old within the bush. So I want to say thank you very much for the 40 minutes that you've allowed me to speak to you on South Africa and some of the treasures that we have to give, because after all this, it really is about the people of this country that celebrate every visitor that comes and visits us. And as J.R. Elliott said, if you visit 2 continents in your lifetime, do make sure you visit Africa twice. So it's over to Michael. Thank you.
Peter John, that was fantastic. And I've been out to South Africa, and boy, it made me want to come back immediately as soon as I can. Thank you. Really well done. Shane, I know you're monitoring any of the questions that we may have that are coming through. If you want to read them off, and we can either have myself or Peter John answer them, depending upon what the questions are. I'm happy to do that. If there aren't any, we can just call it a day in a minute.
For sure. Okay. So question 1 was, what are the predominant languages spoken, and is there a language barrier?
South Africa's got 11 official languages, but the most spoken language in the country is is English amongst all South Africans, and isiXhosa is the other language that's heavily spoken here. But yeah, English is well understood across all of South Africa.
Fantastic. So then the next questions relate to the wine and safari. What is the best time of year for wine, and what is the best time of year for safari, and or would you recommend what time of year for other activities?
I personally am a big fan of safaris during the months of May, June, July, and August, purely because our wintertime year allows for the bush as such to not be so dense. I do find when you come into South Africa during the months of January, February, March, there's quite a bit of rainfall, and that does cause a little bit of an inconvenience that safaris in particular can be disrupted because of that. It's also good to know that there are obviously, if there's no rain, there's no mosquitoes, there's no malaria. So therefore, I would say May, June, July, August, September, you could push till October is some of the best times to come here. September is a great month as well, I will say, because September, there's obviously a lot of young, just generally, it's like fertile ground. So you see a lot of animals dropping babies, and that lends to some beautiful photography and so forth. But yeah, I think that hopefully would answer that.
Perfect. And then another question was, please tell me again the name of the boutique hotel that was pink in Cape Town.
The Pink Boutique Hotel in Cape Town is not so boutique because it's not really small, but it is the Belmont Mount Nelson Hotel.
Fantastic. And if there's any more questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A at the bottom real quick. But besides that seemed to be what we had on deck.
All right. Well, listen, we appreciate that. Again, Peter John, thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for your friendship. Number one, it's been such a pleasure to get to know
you. Thank you, Michael.
And to grow that. And then, wow, I mean, we couldn't have had a better partner. And I'm sure we could have probably spent at least 4 or 5 hours going through all the beauty that's available to us in South Africa. And I walk away from this feeling more educated as well. The geography, putting the map up there and understanding the distances between all of the specific locations really did open my eyes to what the opportunities are to come out there. So thank you again for doing that for us. And we appreciate the participants for being part of this and to understand a little bit more about South Africa and the confidence and why we have the confidence in the partner that we have out there. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of our team, whether it's Sahaba, Alita, or just reach out to myself as well, and we'll be happy to do whatever we can. Hopefully, I think we're looking at South Africa potentially being in October, borders opening up, but some things changing every day. But as of right now, if the world pandemic is going in the direction that we're all hoping it is, so that we can get back to some semblance of life and some semblance of the new normalcy, that'll definitely be on my next trip out there. And we think that Africa and South Africa in general specifically is going to be one of the most appealing destinations as people start to realize that choices become fewer and fewer as you go through life. We're going to be hitting our bucket list much sooner before time runs out. So again, thank you. I think Debbie is raising her hand. Shane, is that another question that we need to answer? Okay, I think that'll be it then. Sahaba, thank you for acknowledging Debbie and her support of what we're doing as well. All right, again, thank you. Everyone have a safe day, safe week. Be healthy, and we'll hopefully talk again soon. Enjoy.